Welcome back to r/LifeStories, where OP shares a dark secret from his childhood with us that haunts him to this day. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our awesome community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, "Today I made myself look utterly insane in a pet store." This happened earlier today. My partner and I stopped in at a pet store to buy food and litter for our cats. This pet store is part of a chain that works with rescue agencies in our area. Each location has an adoption center where cats who are deemed ready for adoption are kept. Another detail, my partner has a sister whose name we shorten to Cat. Cat has long volunteered for one of our local rescue agencies to foster cats, which are then brought to the various locations of the pet store chain in question. So we will stop by the adoption center to look at the kitties, and sometimes they look familiar. That's right, sometimes we see cats in the adoption center. Of course, she takes care of so many at any given time that it is hard for me to keep track. But when I recognize one, I get pretty excited to see them ready to find humans of their very own. Back to today, the pet store location we are at has the adoption center nearer to the front of the store than most other locations, and so I went to look at the cats while my partner stood in line nearby. And then I see them. Two sister kittens who are eerily familiar. I remember one of them because of her name and the other one because she looks like a younger version of one of our guys. I look up at my partner and I ask very loudly, "Are these cats? I think these are cats." I look at him and he's just staring at me with a very concerned look on his face. Confused, I continued a little louder, "Seriously, I think these ones are cats." After a pause, a look of understanding comes to his eyes and he just shakes his head. I then look at the other people in the line who are also staring at me. Then I realized that without the necessary context, it looked like a 30-something-year-old guy who was not entirely sure what cats looked like and that I was excited to maybe able to identify them. I return to the lineup and just silently wish for death. When we make it out of the store, my partner tells me that even he was not sure what I was talking about at first and was wondering if he should bring me to a hospital before he understood what I was trying to say. TLDR, I stood pointing at cats in a busy pet store asking my partner if they were cats. Many strangers looked on in confusion. Update, can now confirm they were definitely cats. Also, a big thank you for the awards, I've never gotten any before. And the next one is titled, "I pranked my office a la Jim from The Office." I thought it would be funny to put a Bluetooth speaker in the ceiling and play sounds of cats over it. I found an 8-hour video of cats meowing on YouTube that was perfect. I paired an old phone to the speaker, tossed the phone in a drawer of an empty desk and tucked the speaker under a ceiling tile. It was perfect. You could only hear the cats if you listened real close. It sounded like there was a cat in the ceiling, but you really could not tell exactly where it was coming from. I went to my office, got busy with work and forgot about it until I went to break. I walked into the break room and several people were talking about the cat that must be in the ventilation system. I chuckled to myself while I grabbed my coffee and made a loop through accounting department to see if there were any more people talking about the cats in the ceiling. To my horror, half the ceiling tiles were removed and there were two maintenance men on ladders looking for the cat. They were real close to the speaker but had not found it quite yet. I just reversed out of there and went back to work. They eventually found the speaker and shortly after everyone got an email from the big boss reprimanding the guilty party and asking for any information on the culprit. Update, a conspiracy theory emerged by the end of the day. Several of them don't believe that it was a prank at all. They think the maintenance people lied about it being a prank, that management made it up to get people back to work, and that maintenance is planning to set out traps and poison to kill. One person claimed they absolutely heard the cat yesterday, and I kid you not, a couple of them claim they still hear it. You know guys, by the way, that is one of the things that makes me absolutely go crazy in real life when people start with some absurd conspiracy theories. However, I do understand why some people like these conspiracy theories in general so much, because it can be like a rabbit hole once you start it. Do you believe in any conspiracy theories? Let us know in the comments. And by the way, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I upload awesome content daily and also post some star emojis in the comments if you enjoy my content. Thank you so much in advance. And the next one is titled, I have lied to everyone in my life for 20 years that I am Jewish. I'm not Jewish, not even a little bit. If you ask me any questions about Judaism, I could not tell you, but still everyone thinks I am Jewish. It all started in high school, 11th grade. I had just moved from California to the south and it was a rough time. I was called every horrible name in the book because I talked different and got the crap beat out of me multiple times. Well, I slowly befriended some of the guys on the football team and my closest friend was the center. We will call him Greg. Now Greg is a super chill guy compared to everyone around him, but he's still very racist and very open about all his opinions. Well, one day I am driving Greg and a few other football players home from school and he makes a comment about synagogues. Without even thinking, I mentioned that I have been to one and this is where it all started. This prompted one of the other guys to joke that I was a Jew, and trying to be chill, since these were the only friends I had, I went, "Ha, yep, I'm Jewish." And then that is when it all went downhill. Greg told everyone on the football team how his new friend from California was a Jew and they all believed it since most of them thought there were only Jews in California anyways. And the football players spread that to the rest of the school. At this point I still thought it was a joke and everyone was just jokingly calling me Jewish, so I just kept going with it. And then I became known as the Jewish kid and started to actually become popular since everyone wanted to be friends with the different kid, and the fact my dad had money, a lot compared to the poor area I went to school, so I could afford to buy nice things and people tend to be attracted towards that. And so being Jewish almost became my identity, it became who I was. So whenever someone would ask my religion, I just automatically told them I was Jewish. Fast forward to the end of high school and the counselors are walking people through scholarship stuff and my counselor calls me into his office and hands me a slip for a $5,000 Jewish American scholarship. Now, as soon as I read Jewish American scholarship, I was going to walk out and throw it out, but he made me sit down and fill it out with him and then took it from me to submit it. I felt horrible for even doing it, but somewhat relieved when I heard that they only gave it to people who were also ethnically Jewish, so I knew I wouldn't get it. However, I got it. I received a letter in the mail saying I was chosen as the winner of this $5,000 scholarship. I got accepted to Dartmouth due to the fact that I worked my ass off in high school and was the valedictorian, though my competition was not plentiful to say the least. But I never thought I would have been able to afford it, but this scholarship was huge in helping me towards that. I considered spilling everything then, declining the scholarship, telling everyone at school, telling almost every single form I filled out saying I'm not actually Jewish. I decided to tell my dad and ask him for advice, as he's always been a guy you can talk to about anything whatsoever. So I tell him everything. I tell him about the joke, then the lie, and then everything, and now the scholarship, which I hadn't told any of my family about because one, I never thought I would get it, and second, they would question why a very not Jewish person is getting a Jewish American scholarship, and as soon as I told my father, he looked me dead in the eyes with the most serious, disappointed face and then burst into tears laughing. The way he reacted, it must have been the funniest thing he had ever heard in his life. He told me he had gotten a letter in the mail asking if I was ethnically Jewish for a scholarship I had entered, and being the person he is, he just saw the chance for college money and went, "Yep, Jewish." And that was apparently all they need. So my dad convinced me to keep the money and go to my dream college, and I did. As soon as I arrived at university, I was met with some people from the group that gave me this scholarship, some Jewish American organization funded by wealthy Israelis, and they told me / enlisted me into all these Jewish clubs, and they got me set up in a synagogue, and everyone there, I would later learn 2 of the people there would be my professors, who were very Jewish, and finally they told me that they would set me up with the whole birthright thing, where they fly American Jews out to Israel. I was so shocked. I was at my dream school, plus I was being hit with all of this. It was too much. I thought about coming clean a lot of times, but I feel like all the people around me would suddenly feel betrayed and leave me. I became good friends with a lot of people in these Jewish clubs. I bonded with my teachers a lot better since they believed I was Jewish. I met the most beautiful Jewish girl who I met through her mother when she came up to me in a cafe, asked if I was Jewish since I was with the local rabbi. I said yes, and she told me that I would love her daughter. We went on a date and instantly hit it off, and I got a free trip to Israel. All the while I was dealing with severe depression since I felt horrible every second of every day, in addition to the already enormous amounts of stress university puts on you. I came so close so many times to just throw myself off a bridge or a tall building, but I could never bring myself to do it. I managed to get all the way through 11 years of college to get my doctorate, got a job at a history museum back on the West Coast, married that Jewish girl, had a Jewish wedding with her entire family and my 2 parents. And by the way, my dad had spilled the beans to my mom about 2 days after I told him. She also found it equally as funny. We've had 3 little Jewish babies. The museum put me in charge of organizing and creating a huge Jewish American history exhibit, even though that is not my specific field, even in the slightest. And in a few months, when the current curator retires at the age of 96, I will hopefully be taking his place. He's been training me for the job, I've worked there the longest, and I've made sure that I am damn good at my job. My life has turned out great, but deep down it will always haunt me that my entire life is built on a lie. My kids' lives, my life, my wife's life, all came from a joke in a car 20 years ago. I was never going to tell a soul this, but today my oldest son, he's 9, told me that he doesn't think he believes in God, and I told him I agreed. It was the first time in 20 years that I told the truth about my religion and did not lie. My son wants to tell his mom that he doesn't want to continue being Jewish, and I might use this as my way of getting out as well. I told him we would tell her tomorrow at dinner, and he seems almost as excited as I am, but equally as nervous. Wish us luck, I guess. I still am unsure if I should tell her the whole truth or if I should just leave it with that I no longer want to be Jewish. Added just for clarification, because people have been questioning my use of the word university in place for college. Yes, I know they are not the same thing. I've just been surrounded by British people lately and they all use university, so I've been saying that instead of college. It's a recently adopted habit, and I can assure you I am American. Born in Folsom, California, moving to Orange County and then to Santa Clarita, California, where I lived for most of my younger life until my family moved to Americus, Georgia. I can assure you I'm definitely American, and as for my wife not finding out from my side of the family, it is mainly due to the fact that we don't talk to my side of the family for personal reasons, and I haven't talked to them in years, and she's only ever met them once at the wedding, but she also wants nothing to do with them. I have decided I'm just going to tell her that I am not Jewish. I won't tell her that I've lied about being Jewish for all these years, but that I'm just going to tell her that I'm not Jewish. Someone also said that since both sides of my family are Czech, there's a good chance I'm Jewish, so I'm thinking of doing a DNA test soon. Also, when I said I know nothing about Judaism, that was an extreme exaggeration. I've obviously picked up a lot of knowledge over the years, and I think my wife may have an idea due to the fact whenever a Jewish holiday is coming up, she will remind me about it and tell me when it is / what it is for if I don't already know. I will update later tonight on how it goes. Edit number 2, so I talked to her and I decided to just tell her everything, and it did not go like I expected. She told me she had a feeling I was not Jewish from the beginning, but never married me just because I was Jewish, but married me for me regardless of my faith. She said that she was sorry that I felt like I had to hide this from her for so many years and that I don't have to pretend to be Jewish if I don't want to, but like a lot of people have commented, I do feel sort of culturally Jewish now. I definitely identify more as a member of the Jewish community than I do any others. We are not going to pressure any of our kids into Judaism, and we are going to let them decide what they want to do for themselves. And my wife and I agreed that it would be for the best if we gave back. Since all the opportunities afforded to me came from the Jewish community, we are going to get involved with an organization, and we are donating to 3 different scholarships for $5,000 each and try and help fund birthright trips whenever we can. I would like to thank everyone who has commented with advice, and hopefully this can be a new chapter in my life. And I gotta admit guys, that is probably one of the most outrageous stories we have ever read if you ask me, but I'm still very happy that in the end it worked out for OP, and especially that his wife is not angry at him. And the next one is titled, I let my friend freeze in a park bench when I was 13. I never ever talked about this, but I just cannot take it anymore. I was 13 years old and was going through this unruly teen phase, you know. Me and 2 of my friends decided to get some alcohol and get wasted after school. It is pretty easy to get booze as an underage person where I come from, so when we left class we went straight to the market and bought 2 bottles of a really strong drink called Ascoff. We went to a park and at about 5 PM we started drinking. We had that rush of doing something illegal, and after an hour or 2 we all were already really drunk. About 7 or 8 PM one of my friends passed out. He was the one who drank the most. It was his first experience with alcohol, and when he got unconscious, me and my other friends started to get worried. We put him laying down on a bench, tried to give him water and did everything we could to wake him up, but he kept sleeping. A couple of hours passed and it was getting pretty late, so I made the worst decision of my life. I suggested to leave him there overnight so his mom would not find out we got alcohol. I unlocked his phone and texted her, "Mom, I'm sleeping at my friend today." Then we made him as comfortable as possible and left. I thought he would just wake up in the middle of the night and go home. I was so scared of my mom finding out. And the next day, he did not answer any of my texts and did not show up to school. A teacher close to his mother walked in our classroom and said he was in the hospital in an extremely serious situation. He experienced alcohol poisoning and hypothermia. His brain was damaged by his super low body temperature. He stayed about 12 hours in the hospital before he died. No one ever found out. Me and my friend were there with him that day and we swore to take that to our graves. I told my mom I did not want to go to his funeral because I could not take it, but it was actually because of the guilt. I never saw his mother again, and the people at my school don't talk about this anymore. Sometimes I wonder what life would he have had if I did not leave him to freeze to death on that bench. And the next one is titled, Today I effed up by living in a dark bedroom for 6 years. The overhead fan in our bedroom uses one of those compact halogen light bulbs. 6 years ago, the bulb burned out and got really dim, just barely a glow. I bought a replacement bulb, but when I put that one in, it was also barely lighting up, so I realized the unit was bad. The fan still worked great. It literally is the best fan I've ever had because it moves a ton of air and it is super quiet. The fan had also been a gift when we moved into our house. The unit cost over $400, so I did not really want to replace it, even though our bedroom does not get much natural light, so it is pretty dark. So since then, over the years, my wife and I have had to make do with no overhead light. We open the windows during the day and at night use a combination of bedside lamps and the bathroom light. It is never really as good of lighting as an overhead lamp, so I keep some flashlights up there for when we are cleaning or looking for something. After 6 years of living in the dark, this winter I just decided I would replace the damn thing. But before I did, I decided to try one last time with another bulb because, however unlikely it is possible, both bulbs I had tried were bad. So I am up there installing the new bulb, grab the remote, the fan has a remote, and as I am turning the light on I realize the damn thing is dimmable. For 6 effing years we lived with the inconvenience of no overhead light, and the whole time it was just because the damn thing was set to dim. And the next one is titled, Today I effed up by getting high, naked and nearly dying, then passing out on the floor and getting rescued by my disabled wheelchair-bound neighbor. I decided to paint the ceiling of my bathroom, and being the lazy guy that I am, I opted for spray paint as it is a very small surface. So I thought I was prepared. I opened all of the windows and front door, I will come back to this, turned my floor fan on full blast pointing at the window, put the dehumidifier on in the bathroom for extra dryness and ventilation, tied a t-shirt around my face and got naked. I went in the bathroom and closed the door, then stood in the bath and then started spraying. I was about 2 to 3 minutes into spraying when I felt a bit lightheaded. So I stopped my work, stepped out of the bath and immediately went to my knees. My primal survival instinct kicked in, so I shuffled to the door and managed to get out while walking on my knees. As soon as I hit fresh air, my body betrayed me and everything just stopped. As I said before, I had opened my front door for ventilation and I live in a block of flats. My bathroom is about 4 feet from the front door. So I quickly lost consciousness and must have fallen face first halfway out of the bathroom into the hallway where the front door is. Cue me waking up to a cacophony of fire alarms screaming and my neighbor wearing nothing but underwear sitting in his wheelchair banging his fist on my front door because he could not get in with his wheels. I sat up completely naked, high as F, asking my neighbor why he was trying to break in while I was in the shower. After half a minute or so, I came around and slammed the door shut and got dressed, trying to get my bearings. I realized what happened then, made sure it would not happen again by sealing the fated room. I went to my neighbor and apologized. He grumbled something about sardines and countdown being on the wrong channel. So here I am, a bit shell-shocked to tell the story of my day or life. Edit might move house or country. I don't believe how big this got. Thanks for the many upvotes and thanks for stopping by for a chat. And a bloody good laugh. If anyone wants updates on my progress, I can put them here. It is no extreme makeover, but as long as it does not look like a fire-damaged public toilet cubicle after a rave, I am happy. Back soon, folks. Brother's fear of spiders caused to burst out laughing. The cast is me, a beautiful, perfect model of humanity that would never laugh at someone else. Joke, I'm a terrible person. My brother, 2 years younger than me, let's call him Jason. And our grandparents. Our parents were divorced and the agreement was they got custody of us. So, before we get into the story, a bit of necessary background info. So, Jason has severe arachnophobia. Few days before the story takes place, he spent the night at a friend's house and his back got bit up by a wolf spider. And on the day the story takes place, he had just gotten back from steroid injections to help his spider bites, and my brother and I are in our mid to late teens at the time. Currently early to mid 20s. So, when Jason got back from the doctor, he, our grandparents and I started talking, cannot remember what about, and being the teenagers Jason and I were, we decided to lean in a doorway, the same doorway on opposite sides. The conversation had probably been going on for 5 minutes when I said something and Jason turns to reply to me and sees something above my head. He instantly gets a look of pure terror on his face, practically jumps out of his skin, trying to put as much distance between himself and what he saw, and practically screams, "Oh damn!" Obviously, seeing his reaction to something right above my head, I immediately take a couple steps away and spin around to see what the F was so terrifying. What I saw immediately caused me to double over laughing because it was a daddy long leg of one of the smallest and the most harmless spiders in existence. Our grandpa sees our reaction probably only 3 seconds from when Jason saw the spider to when I started laughing and asked what that was about, and it took me almost a full minute before I could let him know it was a daddy long leg because I was laughing so hard. Still my favorite story. Guys, I gotta tell you, I can definitely relate to that story because I'm also afraid of spiders. How is it for you? Let us know in the comments if you are also terribly afraid of these little buggers. Stopped by the croissant dog. My husband and I were on our way from Iceland. Before leaving we grabbed breakfast. It is a 9-hour flight and we wouldn't be sure the meal on the plane would not be fish. It was, by the way. My husband gave me his roll and butter and he got my fish. My husband grabbed an extra ham croissant and put it in his carry-on. It got checked because of a full flight, so we picked it up in Dallas. I hate Dallas customs, hate. It is the pandemonium. The lines are combined before being separated again, they don't mark where to go, and essentially you wait in long lines until an airport worker comes and gets you if you have a US passport. We have gotten through immigration with our bags, and there is a security person with a beagle. People are walking past it, and as we walk past, the beagle sniffs the bag and points and then sits. The security person stops my husband. "Excuse me, sir, do you have any meat in your bag?" My husband is surprised. He reaches down and unzips the bag and pulls out the sandwich. The beagle licks its lips and scrooches forward. The security officer saw the sandwich and looked at the dog. She waves me and my husband on. Apparently sandwiches are fine, but I'm still amused that we got stopped by the croissant dog. And guys, unfortunately we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.